Hey, welcome to the final edition of the Late Morning Show. We are both excited to wrap up the school year and very sad to finish production. I mean, it's become a part of our life for good or evil.
This is the end of the road for the mid-morning show, and hopefully in the fall there'll be no need for it. It'll be retired.
Hopefully in the fall there'll be no need for it. That is so right. That is so right. Hey, what tell me about yourself? How are things going?
Things are going good. Out there on the hunt for a teaching job, and had a good interview, so we'll see what happens.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Mr. Meyer interviewed in Northport for what kind of a position there?
Special ed.
Special ed position. And they called and checked references, and we couldn't say enough glowing things about you, with a tear in our eye because we don't want to lose you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing's guaranteed yet, but with the world being the way it is, happy to get an interview, and so we'll see what happens.
Well, we hope for the best. We wish you the best, and I know it's going to be very difficult for me because we've been working together now for over 6 months.
It's been a long time. Been a good time.
It's sad. A little tear trickled down right here. We have not been doing very much at home. Side note, for those of you that don't know me very well, I am a gun enthusiast and a gun show enthusiast, and I saw that in Helena, Montana this weekend, there's going to be a gun show. And I usually go about every other month, right? I seek these things out, be them in Idaho or Wenatchee or Spokane, wherever they are. I love to just go and look at things. And I told my wife this morning, do we have a reason to go to Helena? It's only 400 miles one way. Do you think we could go? She laughed at me. She actually laughed at me.
Are you gonna go?
My oldest son said, let's do it. So I like to pack up the family and just go do things. So I'm trying to find a reason to go to Helena.
Is there a Chick-fil-A in Helena?
Probably a couple steakhouses.
I mean, if there's a good restaurant, just go.
Montana's open. The schools are back in. Believe it or not, I don't know if you're keeping up on the news. British Columbia, our neighbors to the north, just opened up schools on a voluntary basis. So people are back there. Montana, I don't know if all of Montana is back, but parts of it are back. I really wish that we would have opened back up on a voluntary basis for the last week or two, just to give all of you some closure, to get to see each other, get to kind of button this up. But that is not meant to be, so we're sorry.
So it goes. Sorry, guys.
So this week being our last week, we have a special final project for you. Can you tell us a little bit about it, or?
So what we're going to do is we're going to make a time capsule where we are going to invite you to leave something that you would like future generations to see in 50 years that will leave a memory or a feeling or something that you value during this time of COVID-19. So you could write something, you could just put something in there. Yeah.
So our plan is, now I don't know if you've caught on to what we're doing, but we've talked a lot about character analysis and themes, right? With text-based evidence. I don't know if you saw that that's been the thrust of what we're doing, but that were our core objectives, right? What we were teaching. And now when we wrap it up today, we want you to think about telling your story to future generations. Now, the assignment is, it says, Your assignment is to help us make a time capsule. We want something written on or videos that show the experience of COVID-19 2020 for future generations. Your task is to submit a video or a piece of writing that shows or tells the feelings, attitudes, fear, happiness, hopes, and or dreams of the pandemic through your eyes. It must show or tell something that you've learned or how your values have changed. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we got permission from Mr. Knight to bury a time capsule on the campus. We have called Colville Monument Works, and they are going to help us make a plaque. So we are going to fill it with whatever we have. I don't know how big the capsule is. I don't even know. What is it going to be? It's got to be something that'll last. And in 50 years, when we're gone,
I'll probably still be around.
You'll be like 80. Maybe you can be like the guest that comes and puts the golden shovel in the ground or something.
Yeah. When the show is famous.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. And you all will be like 65, so you'll be fine. You'll be around.
Maybe my head will be in a jar like on Futurama.
Oh, yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, I'll be like Nixon. You don't know what I'm talking about. Sorry. So we're making a time capsule, but we want your story inside of it for future generations. If you're 14, 15, 16 years old right now, you'll be in your 60s, right?
65 years old?
Yeah, you'll be about 65 years old when they dig this thing up. So it'll be an interesting thing. I can just imagine it now. 5 people gather around digging up after the zombie apocalypse.
I'm imagining like a big TV crew and, a couple hundred people there and the modern music stars of the time there to see this moment.
Maybe Tupac will come back.
Maybe they'll clone him by then. I don't know.
I think he'll come back. He and Elvis are on Mars, I think.
And Kurt Cobain. Kurt Cobain is out there.
I hope so. I hope so.
That would really encourage me.
So for today, we are going to read 2 stories. We're going to read, and don't roll your eyes. I see you. Don't roll your eyes. We are going to read Goofy and the Magic Fish.
And Mickey and the Beanstalk.
Now, I don't know if you've heard of either one of these stories. These are both very old stories that were adapted by the Walt Disney Company to, this is actually Goofy and the Magic Fish was called The Golden Fish, and it's a Russian folk tale adapted for America. Mickey and the Magic Beanstalk is from England, and it was rewritten in about 1750 to adapt to American ideals. Okay, so 2 stories, but they both tell very different morals, values, characters, right? Very different. So using all the stuff that you learned so far, I want you to think about the story, both of the stories as they're read to you. There's no assignment that goes with them. So if you're like, screw this, I'm waiting for an assignment, you've already got it. It's the time capsule, and you can just turn us off, but we'd prefer that you not.
Please don't turn it off yet.
Yeah, don't turn us off. Okay. So let's go straight to the story.
We're going right into the story right now.
Mickey and the Magic Beanstalk. A long time ago, there were 3 friends called Mickey, Donald, and Goofy. They were very poor. All they had was an old cow and a jar of beans. One day, there was just 1 bean left in the jar. "We are down to our last beans," said Mickey. "I hate beans," said Donald. "Beans are better than nothing," said Mickey. "Why, what do we eat now?" said Goofy. "I'm hungry." Mickey looked out the window. He saw the old cow. "I know," said Mickey. "We can sell the cow." So Mickey went off with the cow. He was going to sell her to buy some food. "Remember," called Donald, "no beans." On his way to town, Mickey met an old woman. "I'll trade you 3 beans for that cow," said the old woman. "Beans for a cow," cried Mickey. "No way." "Well, these are not just any beans," said the old woman. "They are magic beans." Now, Mickey never would have traded the cow for just any beans, but magic beans, they were different. So Mickey took them and gave her the cow. When Mickey got back, Donald and Goofy were all ready to eat and eat and eat, and Mickey showed them the 3 beans. "Beans!" cried Donald. "But they're magic beans," said Mickey. "I told you I hate beans," said Donald, and he threw the beans out of the window. So Mickey, Donald, and Goofy had to go to bed without any supper. But the beans really were magic. That night, the moon found the first bean, and it began to grow. And it grew, and it grew, and it grew, and it grew right up into the sky. When Mickey woke up, he remembered the magic beans. He ran to the window. He saw a great beanstalk growing right up into the sky. Mickey decided to climb the beanstalk. He climbed, and he climbed, and he climbed, and he climbed, and when he reached the top, he saw a great big castle. Mickey went into the castle. He saw a great big table. "Whoa, a giant must live here," said Mickey. On the table there was a great big cheese. Mickey climbed up to take a bite, but suddenly he heard a terrible sound. Thump, thump, thump. The giant must be coming home. Mickey hid in the cheese, and just in time, too, the giant had come home, and he was feeling very hungry. The giant began to sniff. Then he said in a low, mean voice, "Fee, fi, fo, fummy. I smell a boy and boys are yummy. I'll roast that boy and fill my tummy." The giant looked all around. He looked in his sandwich. He looked in his mug. He was just about to look in the cheese. Then he saw his bags of gold. "Ha ha, my gold," said the giant. He liked his gold even more than he liked to eat, so he decided to count it. But soon the giant's head began to nod, and soon the giant's eyes began to close, and soon the giant began to snore. Mickey jumped out of the cheese and grabbed a bag of gold. He ran to the beanstalk and dropped the bag of gold. Then he climbed down the beanstalk as fast as he could go. When Mickey reached the ground, there were Donald and Goofy catching the gold pieces. "You won't believe this, Mickey," said Goofy. "It's raining gold," said Donald. "No, it isn't," said Mickey. "I found this gold at the top of this." But when he looked back, the beanstalk was gone. That night, the moon found the second bean, and it began to grow, too. When Mickey woke up, there was another beanstalk, so he climbed it. Mickey went inside the castle. He hid in the oven, and just in time, too. Thump, thump, thump. The giant was coming home. The giant was feeling very grumpy about losing his bag of gold. He began to sniff, and he said, "Fee, fi, fo, fummy. I smell a boy and boys are yummy. I'll roast that boy and fill my tummy." The giant looked all around. He looked in his stewing pot. He looked in his teapot. He was just about to look in the oven, and then he saw his hen. "My hen!" cried the giant. The giant liked his hen because it was a magic hen. When the giant said lay, the hen would lay a golden egg. Every time the giant said lay, the hen laid still another golden egg. But soon the giant's head began to nod, and soon the giant's eyes began to close, and soon the giant began to snore. Mickey jumped out of the oven, and he grabbed the chicken. He ran to the beanstalk. He dropped the hen. Then he climbed down the beanstalk as fast as he could go. When Mickey reached the ground, he found Donald and Goofy looking at the hen. "You won't believe this, Mickey," said Goofy. "A hen fell out of the sky," said Donald. "No, it didn't," said Mickey. "I found the hen at the top of this." But when he looked back, the beanstalk was gone. That night the moon found the third bean. In the morning, Mickey looked out the window, and there was still another beanstalk. The magic had worked once more, so Mickey climbed to the top. He went inside the castle. This time he hid in the fireplace, and just in time, too. Thump, thump, thump. The giant was coming home. The giant was feeling very grumpy about losing his hen that laid the golden eggs. He sniffed and he said, "Fee, fi, fo, fummy. I smell a boy and boys are yummy. I'll roast that boy and fill my tummy." The giant looked all around. He looked in his wooden box. He looked in his matchbox. He was just about to look in his fireplace when he saw his harp. "My harp!" cried the giant. Then the giant said, "Sing." And the harp began to sing a magic song. She sang and she sang. Soon the giant's head began to nod, and soon the giant's eyes began to close. But the giant did not snore. Mickey jumped out of the fireplace. He grabbed the harp and he ran away. He ran very fast, but not fast enough. The harp called out, "Master, master, open your eyes." The giant opened his eyes and saw Mickey running away with his harp. The giant ran after Mickey, but Mickey got to the beanstalk first. He ran down as fast as he could go, but the giant was right above him, and he was getting closer and closer. Mickey reached the ground first. He grabbed an axe and he chopped into the beanstalk. Whack! Down it came, thud. That was the end of the giant. From that day on, the three friends were very happy. Mickey traded the gold for good things to eat. Donald watched the hen lay the golden eggs. Goofy listened to the harp play its magic song. And they never, ever ate beans again. The end. Goofy and the Magic Fish. Often called the golden fish in other cultures. There once was a fisherman named Goofy. He lived in a little house by the sea. Every morning he went fishing in his little boat. He threw his net into the water. He pulled up a net full of fish. Every night Goofy ate supper and went to bed. Nothing different ever happened. Then one day something very different happened. A great big fish got caught in Goofy's net. Goofy had to pull and pull with all of his might. At last he pulled the fish into his boat. Goofy was very surprised. The fish was bigger than he was. Goofy was even more surprised when the fish began to talk. "Listen, my friend," said the fish. "I am magic. Magic fish taste terrible. Put me back in the water and let me be." Goofy was glad to get rid of the talking fish. He put it back into the water. But the fish popped back up and said, "Is there anything you want, my friend? You have been kind to me, so I will make one wish come true." "Really?" said Goofy. "Then I wish I were a farmer. That would make my life much easier." Poof! Suddenly, Goofy was standing in the middle of a pretty little farm. There were cows in the barnyard, ducks in the pond, and geese in the lane. There was everything a farmer needs. This is the life, thought Goofy. But he soon realized there was also work to be done. He had to milk the cows and feed the pigs, and he had to feed the chickens and plow the fields. He had to chase the pigs out of the vegetable garden and the chickens out of the cow shed, and he had to chase the cows out of the cornfield and the rabbits out of the carrot patch and the ducks out of the flower garden. Before the day was over, Goofy was very tired. He was too tired to fix the fences. He was even too tired to wonder why the wagon was on top of the haystack. Phew, farming is hard work, he thought. Then he remembered the magic fish. Goofy went back to his boat. He rowed out to sea. He called to the magic fish. "Oh, magic fish, please hear my call. I want one more wish, and that is all." Up popped the great big fish. "Back so soon?" said the fish. "Oh, let me be a rich sea captain instead of a farmer," said Goofy. "Then I would not have to work so hard." Poof! Suddenly Goofy was standing at the helm of a handsome sailing ship. This is the life, thought Goofy. The ship sailed into a harbor, the cargo was brought on shore, and Goofy played a happy tune. He was very, very happy. Then Goofy went to stay in the finest hotel in town. There he ate an expensive dinner with 2 other rich people. He told them many stories about his adventures at sea. That night, robbers sneaked into his room. When Goofy woke up, he saw that he had nothing left at all. Even his pet parrot had been stolen. He was ordered out of the hotel because he could not pay the bill. Once again, he rowed out to sea and called to the magic fish. "Oh, magic fish, please hear my call. I want one more wish, and that is all." Once again, the fish popped up. "What is it this time?" asked the fish. "Oh, I wish I were a king instead of a sea captain," said Goofy. "A king never has any problems." Poof! Suddenly, Goofy was sitting on a throne inside of a splendid castle. The royal guards were guarding him. The royal knights were bowing to him. A royal fiddler was fiddling to him his favorite royal tune. This is the life, thought Goofy. Goofy was trying to decide what to have for lunch when the royal messenger rushed up. "Your Majesty," cried the messenger, "your soldiers are rising up against you." Goofy climbed the steps that led to the top of the highest tower. When he looked out the window, he was very surprised. There, beyond the moat, all his soldiers were gathered together. "We want another king," they cried. "Goofy is no good." "This is ridiculous," thought Goofy. "I've done nothing at all." And in fact, that was the problem. King Goofy ran back out the back door just as fast as his little royal legs would go. He ran to the seashore and found his old boat. Goofy rowed out to sea. Up popped the magic fish. "Is there also something wrong with being a king?" asked the fish. "Indeed there is," said Goofy. "All my soldiers are against me. They say I am a bad king. Please let me be a fisherman again." Poof! Suddenly, Goofy was sitting on the porch of his own little house. Everything was just the same as it had been. "Oh, this is the life," thought Goofy, and Goofy never called the magic fish again. The end. Well, what did you think of that?
I thought that was very interesting. Two folk tales that are a part of the collective world subconscious, both with completely different ideas about how you should live your life, both adapted by the biggest media company in the world,
Walt Disney.
to make some money, because both of the stories are marketable and you can learn from them.
So did you notice the two different morals being told?
I did, yeah, partially because you told me, and you're a very intelligent person, but also just from listening.
Whatever.
Also from listening to you tell the stories and thinking about them, I was like, you know what? These are two stories that really, if you really think about what they're saying about you and your life, are telling this, I would say, the opposite story.
Complete opposite.
Yeah.
So, what's the ideas or values, character traits of Mickey and the Beanstalk?
Take some risks. Go get, I think the rappers would say, the bread or the bag. Go get the riches. Take the risks and get out there, and don't settle. Go big or go home, and go get the stuff.
Don't settle. Don't settle. Take those risks and do what you need to do to get ahead and make yourself more comfortable, right? Sometimes, like on Thrill of the Grass, sometimes you have to do what people may see as wrong.
Yes.
Because Mickey was a murderer and a thief.
Yeah.
And we're not saying you should go do those things, right? But what a story, right? Here's a giant doing his thing, right?
Yeah,
Mickey
yeah.
breaks into his kingdom, breaks into his castle, steals from him, and then kidnaps the harp. And the harp doesn't want to go. Master, master, open your eyes, right?
Yeah.
Text-based evidence there. See, I'm using that. And then chops down the beanstalk, ends the giant's reign of I don't even, it wasn't terror.
He was asleep.
He never even came down from his castle to torment anyone. He was just doing his thing. And then Mickey and his friends live happily ever after because they destroyed, right, the giant.
Yeah. I think of things, I'm a bit of a music nerd. I think of things in relation to music. Today, more than probably at any other point, rap music is very popular.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at rap music, you don't have to be a critical thinker to realize that financial wealth is a huge component of rap music. It's celebrated intensely. And the idea of all these rappers started out poor on the streets and now they're rich. And that is like a very over and over and over again if you look at rap music. And I'm not saying it's good or bad. I like it. I think it's interesting. This is a very rap music culture story. This is you're down and out or whatever, you don't have it, and you go and you take it. And the guy who tries to stop you from taking it, he gets stopped.
Wow, I had never thought about that.
And it's interesting because when I was in high school in the 2000s, emo music was like the main thrust. And so it wasn't necessarily a big time where the music culture was valuing consumerism. It was a music culture that was valuing like kind of like a punk rock rebellion emotion kind of thing. And then in the 90s, it was the grunge thing. It was like the opposite. It was like they wanted cheap garbage. Like it. And so it's interesting how like our culture changes over time, but I think Mickey and the Beanstalk is a very 2010, 2020 Drake. Are you familiar with Drake?
The duck?
No, Drake the rapper. It's a very 2010, 2020 rapper, go get the money, get it done kind of story, and it's interesting to read about. And it's a Western story. It's the stories from the Western. When people say West, correct me if I'm wrong, they're referring to Europe versus Asia, right?
Yes, France, Germany, England, Spain, Greece, not like the Ukraine or Russia, not that part of it.
And so this story is like a very Western civilization story and a very American story. Like Mickey in many ways is somewhat like an American settler. He leaves, he goes home, he takes what he wants. The guys who are there, forget about them. You know, it's a very aggressive kind of Western, take what's yours, go get it done kind of story.
And it was adapted in America in the 1750s, which was after the Revolution against England. And it would be a very revolutionary story, right, to make people feel justified in what they've done.
And again, not to make the moral call for anyone, it just is what it is. That's just what the story is. It's, you know.
Yeah, because we're looking at the stories that we tell, right? Because which story would you tell your kids? Because the stories that you tell will define your culture's future. Isn't that an interesting thought? Have you ever thought about the power of language and the power of the word and the power of stories?
I've heard that politics flow downhill from culture. The idea that art and culture, what's on the fringes at 5 or so years, what trickles down from that is usually what will influence the politics.
Wow.
And not to be like too political or too modern, but I remember when I was younger, not that much younger, when Trump was running for president, a lot of people thought he was going to win, not based on polls or anything like that, but based on the culture of the internet at the time. The jokes or the memes that were being made were at the time very in his favor, and so people who were looking at that culture were like, the politics are going to come downhill from the culture, like, you know. So it's very it's not always an indicator, but in many ways the stories that we tell are what will influence the future of our society.
Wow. So please remember that as you tell stories. Your negativity can influence your family and your community's culture. So, yeah, don't get caught up in the negativity, I guess, because it does flow.
Yeah, exactly.
And that brings us to our second story, Goofy and the Magic Fish. When I was a kid, my parents bought me Book of the Month Club to get me to read. So these are the foundations. Mr. Long being an English teacher at 6 years old, one of my first books, and I don't know if you saw through the pictures, but this thing is dog-eared and read a million times by me as a kid. So
This is your actual book from when you were a kid?
Bam.
Whoa.
When I took it to show and tell, my name is right on there.
Wow, it's got his, if you can't see it at home, there's his name.
Written by my mother when I took that first grade show and tell.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. So that book is 44 years old. It's been in my cupboard, and I read them to my kids, and yeah. So then we have Goofy and the Magic Fish.
Yeah.
Now, we have a saying in our house sometimes that when, for instance, I want a bowl of ice cream. I want a bowl of ice cream. Okay, you can have a bowl of ice cream. So we dish them out a portion of ice cream, and kids will eat it, and they'll say, I want more ice cream, I want more ice cream, I want more ice cream. And we say, you get what you get, and you don't throw a fit, which is the exact opposite of this story, right? This story would be like, my kid should take ice cream, and that's his right.
And then he should kill whoever's protecting the ice cream.
Don't kill me. So this story is about you get what you get, and you don't throw a fit. And when I'm in class, often I will see these two different personalities in students.
Mm-hmm.
It's good enough. I'm not going to try any harder. I'll fail. I'm not going to, right? I'm not, no. I see this. And then I see people who say, I need to do better. I want to work harder. I'm going to go over your head. I'm going to the principal. I need this. I need that, right?
Mine, now.
Yeah. Two totally different personalities, extremes, right? Most people fall in the middle, but extremes. And so what I find interesting about Goofy and the Magic Fish is that here's a guy who's just fishing. Right? That's his life. He's a fisherman. So Goofy was a subsistence farmer, and he wished to be a farmer because he was a fisherman, a subsistence fisherman, and he didn't have much, and he became a farmer, and that didn't work. And then he becomes a ship's captain, and he wants to be so much more. And he becomes a king. And he realizes that everything that he's, every hope and dream that he has is not a very good hope and dream, and he should just go back to the way that he was.
Yeah. Opposite of this one. This is you get what you get, don't throw a fit, be happy where you're at in life, and appreciate what you have. And then this is go figure new things out and get more stuff.
So which story do you tell, right? Do you tell the story of don't try really hard because you should be happy with what you have, and don't rock the boat, don't look for the grass is greener on the other side of the fence, don't look for those things because you're content with what you have? Or are you the person who's like, I am going to charge ahead, I'm going to do what I need to do, and like Thrill of the Grass, I'm going to break some rules in order to try to make my life a better life?
Yeah. So think about what you value and what you think during this time, and what you want to leave behind that we can put into the time capsule.
So I don't know if you picked this up, but we've been pushing really hard on morals of stories, themes, and character analysis. And now kind of think about yourself a little bit. And what story are you going to tell? So tell us your story. I don't know what that looks like, right? Don't overthink it is what you always say, and I agree with that. Give us your writing. If you want to give us an item, that's going to be, we'll have to figure that out. Email us, right, and we'll figure out how to get your item in there. It has to be small because this time capsule can't be huge. But write something up, video something, send it to us. We will get it into the time capsule, and it's the story for students that would be your grandkids.
Yeah. So, yeah, the stories that we tell kind of reflect our culture and what people learn. And so, yeah, whatever you would want to leave behind for the next generation.
Cool. That takes us to the end of A Moment With, and pretty much the end of the late morning show. And we usually do one more thing. What is that one other thing that we do, Mr. Meyer?
A field trip.
Woohoo! I love field trips. We have been going all over.
All right. Well, hey, this is going to be a good final field trip. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you for letting me be your student teacher. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Meyer. We're going to miss you very much.
I'm gonna miss you all too.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you. Hey everybody, we're at the park. Hopefully you get a chance to come visit the park this summer. We're having a lot of fun.
I haven't had this much fun since I was like 6. Believe it or not, all the toys around you I played on when I was like that tall. So that was a long time ago. These things must have put in 1,000 years ago.
They were built to last. Well, what's that just say?
Hey, have a good summer. Get out and enjoy yourself. We miss you.
Thank you all so much, and if you're curious, I did get a teaching job, so thank you all for being awesome, for me to student teach you, and I hope that you all do great, and I'll miss you all. Thank you.